There you go, recording in progress. If you can you take some time out from multitasking, those emails and texts and phone calls, and just enjoy this session? I'll start with an introduction about EAAA, and I'll just see whether I can share my screen with you now. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that, Jenny.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Elder Abuse Action Australia is the national voice for action that eliminates elder abuse, and our aims are to develop and promote systemic policy reforms regarding elder abuse to national government, non-government and the business, and also to raise community awareness and educate the community, and communicate and share and coordinate information, resources and practice nationally, and that's what we're doing today. We are a member-based organisation. It's only $25 to join as an individual, and I encourage you to join to support us in events like this. There's a discounted members rate for the upcoming National Elder Abuse Conference, and just to note that EAAA actually arose from the enthusiasm and desire of participants at previous national conferences. And the other benefit of being a member is that EAAA members are consulted on policy priorities for each. One of our major projects is Compass, which is a national knowledge hub on elder abuse. And this initiative also arose from previous national conferences. People said we need to have this project is funded by the Federal Attorney General's Department. It's a 3-year project. It's information and has many links to other sources. We're always keen to add more, so let us know if you've got tools or resources that we could add and link to. Featured topics include recorded webinars, resources and tools. And webinars have included topics about sexual abuse of older women, preventing financial abuse, LGBTIQA+, 65 over, for equality at every age, and grandparent alienation. You can find out more about Compass at the Compass website. The other major project that we're involved with is the National Elder Abuse Conference, and it's the only conference specifically addressing elder abuse in Australia. This 7th National Elder Abuse Conference, Walk the Talk, Stepping Up Together, is hosted by us, EAAA, and CODA Tasmania in Hobart on the 14th and 15th of February 2022, 2 days. It's a hybrid conference. You can be registered and take part online or face-to-face, and unfortunately it sounds like it's going to be more online. So who knows? There will of course be plenaries with eminent national and international experts and concurrent presentations by delegates. And you'll hear about such programs that have been funded under the federal government's national plan to respond to the abuse of older Australians. Consider the recommendations of the Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety. Challenge our preconceptions with discussions of prevalent studies in ageism, and examine the impact of COVID on older people. There's a forum in the lead up to the conference, and that forum is on the October 1st. And so you can find out more about that through our website or the Compass website. I'd like to introduce Lucy. Lucy Best is the Community Education Officer at Seniors Rights Victoria to our second lunch and learn session, and we're thrilled to have Lucy here. Lucy will showcase a series of videos produced as part of a project which launched in 2018 and was funded as part of the Federal Government's Integrated Services Fund, administered by the Federation of Community. The project saw SRV, Seniors Rights Victoria, in partnership with Dementia Australia, deliver information and support people who've been diagnosed with dementia to plan for peace of mind. Let me stop sharing here. So the videos were made this year, 2021, to increase the ways that this information can be shared. And SRV recognised that the increased risk of people with dementia is often a result of a loss of decision-making capacity. And this can result in decisions being made on their behalf which might not align with their wishes. The best way to avoid this is to plan, but this is often neglected because people don't know how, or simply find it too difficult to have the necessary conversations. Lucy will share one of the videos and accompanying discussion guide ahead of leading discussion on how this work can support service providers to prevent elder abuse. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Katie, and thanks to the team at EAAA. Can everyone hear me okay? Maybe give me a thumbs up. Cool. I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. As Jenny said, I'm Community Education Officer with Seniors Rights Victoria, and I also support the communications team. My focus is on a project that SRV, that Jenny mentioned, has been working in partnership with Dementia Australia since 2018. I am actually going to present about the project and the outcomes of the project and the future plans for the project at the conference in February, hopefully in person in Tasmania. So today I'm primarily going to share with you the videos and hopefully a discussion afterwards. So the project was designed to deliver information for people with dementia and their carers to help them understand planning ahead. And as we all know, not planning ahead does leave people open to future distress, potential elder abuse, and family disagreements. So we developed an information session that explained to people a bit about what elder abuse was, the importance of planning ahead, the things they need to consider in planning ahead, how to have some of the conversations and who to have them with, as well as the legal implications and how to get those things planned in the proper documents. The information sessions were delivered by one of our advocates and a lawyer. So the lawyer was there to answer any legal questions, and attendees were also encouraged to make an appointment with SRV about their any specific concerns or issues that they have. So that was happening from 2018 with Dementia Australia, primarily as part of their Living with Dementia program, which is a 6-session program that they offer to people who've been newly diagnosed. They also have some standalone future planning information sessions that we delivered that to. Obviously in 2020, face-to-face information sessions all became online via Zoom. We had fewer attendees, but it did kind of help with discussion because, as we all know, Zoom can be a little bit difficult and it can be hard to manage lots of people. So although less people were attending, we were still able to have really robust discussions. We then secured some funding in November 2020 for an extension through to March of this year. And the timing of the extension was obviously just before the Christmas period, and Dementia Australia were not running any of their information sessions. And we also found that at SRV, the staff that we had allocated to the project had resigned or left the organisation. So these factors, coupled with the fact that everything was moving to online and there was uncertainty about face-to-face, we had a discussion with the Federation of Community Legal Centres who administer the Integrated Services Fund. And we decided to create a series of videos on planning ahead. And we thought that these could live beyond the end of the project. It could be a way of reaching more people, regardless of where they are. Also acknowledging that some of the legal information in the video is Victoria specific, but the importance of having the conversations and the things people need to think about is pretty universal. So we decided to make the videos. So in early 2021, a series of 6 videos was produced as an alternative way of presenting the information. And it's widely acknowledged that videos are a great communication tool, specifically in lockdowns, but we needed to find a way to reach people with these videos. So although they were made at the beginning of this year, they were officially launched on WeAd on June 15th this year, along with our new website, which I encourage you to look at, and please provide feedback if you have any. We always welcome feedback. So there's one long video that has all the information, and it's quite dense. We present case studies, lawyers and an advocate discuss some of the legal implications, but then we've also broken it down into 5 short videos. And we have on our website some discussion guides. So I'm now going to show you one of the short videos. It's Why Plan Ahead, and it sort of introduces the importance. So bear with me while I share hopefully the correct screen. And of course I have to say share sound. So perhaps if this doesn't work, Jenny or Katie can unmute and give me a yell, but I'm going to hit play. All good?
Isn't it a gorgeous day?
It is absolutely sensational, beautiful.
I can't believe how long we've been friends since we started as psychologists, like 40 years ago.
45 years ago, Eve. That long. And we're still here in one piece, which is pretty good.
and well, which is surprising given the number of friends that are not that well. You know, Andy,
Yeah.
who had a stroke,
Yeah.
he ended up in hospital, and the family was so stressed because they didn't know what to do and they were being pressured to make decisions by the medical people.
That's terrible.
And some of them wanted him to go into care and the others said no, he should be at home with a carer.
In the stress of those situations, that's the last time that people should be making decisions. I know a woman, her mother was unwell and she put her in care. Well, the mother hated the care. It was far from the country town that she lived in. She didn't like certain aspects of it. Anyway, my friend's sister then came back from overseas and wanted the mother to stay there. Anyway, there was a whole kind of argument and conflict, and now there's been a falling out. I mean, it's so sad.
Well, they didn't know what she wanted.
Yeah.
We see a lot of messy situations where there's a lot of conflict, and it really makes sense to plan for the future.
I know a friend who, as an accountant, reorganised her father's finances because
Yeah.
she had the decision-making power for his financial decisions and made superb decisions, earned more money on his
Yeah.
investments, but she's changed the bank. And then he goes to the bank because he loved visiting the local staff.
Sometimes the people that are closest to you, like your family, don't know you as well as you think.
Imagine being in a situation where you're not well or something's going wrong and an administrator gets appointed for you that you don't even know. I mean, could you imagine how awful that would be?
Yeah, it'd be terrible. You've definitely got a plan.
None of us have a crystal ball, so we can't predict the future, but it can give great peace of mind to plan ahead.
So, what are your plans if you become incapable of making a decision?
I'm 96 and a half, and I'll be around for many years yet.
And he doesn't like talking about it, and it worries me.
The best time to talk about it is when you're well and capable.
You can appoint an attorney who can make both financial and personal decisions for you. An attorney must be over 18 years of age. They cannot be a current bankrupt or a paid carer. And for practical reasons, it's good that they live close by.
Have you decided who your attorney will be?
Oh gosh, yes, I've actually appointed one. He's a really good friend of mine. He's trustworthy, he's capable, and most importantly, I've had several conversations with him. He knows exactly what my wishes are on a whole lot of financial matters, medical matters, everything. I prepared a folder for him with all the information about the house and the bank accounts and what have you, and I just feel calm and relaxed, and also knowing that I'm not going to leave a mess for people. It's really. What about you? Have you?
Well, my daughter,
Yeah.
I've appointed her, and obviously somebody I trust, but I
Yeah.
haven't had detailed conversations. I haven't got a folder.
What? How come? That's so unlike you.
Because it's more like you, but I think that's something I need to have a conversation about.
Yeah, it's the sooner rather than the later, I think.
Now.
Okay.
What we really want you to do is to talk to the people close to you so that they know what you want for the future.
So that's sort of the intro video. Then they go on in the series. So that one's called Why Plan Ahead. The next one is Having Conversations About the Future, in which we sort of talk through the people that you should be talking to and acknowledge some of the hesitation that people may have around those conversations. Then there's one about capacity to make decisions. So we explain how that's understood, how people are measured as perceived to be having capacity to make decisions. The next one is what decisions can my appointed attorney make? And then the last one is obligations of an attorney, and that's much more directed toward someone who would be an appointed attorney. So we worked with Seven Dimensions to make those videos, and they did a really great job in a very short space of time. But given our time constraints and our budget, a lot of favors were called in. And some of it was shot in someone from Seven Dimensions house, and friends and family were kind of cast and crew. And then in March, we secured further funding for this project to go on to October of this year, and decided we want to try and reach some culturally and linguistically diverse groups with the information. And then thanks to a grant that we secured from the Victoria Law Foundation, we were able to get some translating and dubbing done on these videos. So we prioritized Hindi, Vietnamese, and Arabic because we identified them as having fewer existing resources than some other key community languages in Victoria. But the videos, of course, were not planned specifically with translation and dubbing in mind. So I'm going to share with you now one of the videos in another language, just so that you can get an idea. This is the one, so let me pause it, share my screen again. I won't play the whole video, but this is in Vietnamese, and this is the one about the capacity to make decisions. So what I will do is share and then perhaps just fast forward a little bit.
Và chúng tôi phải nói, không sao đâu, mẹ vẫn ở nhà, tất cả chúng con đều yêu mẹ, để bà bình tĩnh lại.
Có tôi nhớ, nhưng bà vẫn còn có thể cho chị biết bà muốn ai đến và không muốn ai đến thăm.
Bà cũng quảng giao đấy chứ?
Vâng, rất quảng giao. Nhưng bà gặp khó khăn gì lúc đó?
À, ngoài các buổi sáng ra thì là các quyết định về tài chính, bà thực sự mệt mỏi vấn đề này. Rồi bà bảo tôi giúp, và bà rất biết ơn tôi đã làm thay cho bà. Nhưng bà luôn nhấn mạnh là mẹ muốn sống ở nhà.
Nhưng tôi nghĩ bà là trường hợp mất dần năng lực. Và dĩ nhiên không phải trường hợp nào cũng sẽ vậy. Nó có thể diễn ra từ từ hoặc rất đột ngột.
I'll stop sharing that now. I wanted to show you how it works. We've worked with Polaran, who've done the translation and recorded the dubbing, and then Seven Dimensions actually matched the voices to timing. As you can see, the voices don't really match the faces. So we're now working on a new suite of videos and actually planning those with the idea of translating and dubbing them in the fullness of time, so that we could have a bit more diversity represented on screen. And also, hopefully, some of the stories will be told rather than people having a conversation saying, you know, my friend, this is the situation they had. We would use some stock images and maybe stock footage to sort of tell the story with voiceover. So I hope most of you are familiar with the Within My Walls series of videos that were done by ECCV in partnership with SRV around elder abuse. They're an amazing resource. And, you know, they did the translating them into lots of languages very well. They had a lot bigger budget than we did, but it's just really helped me inform some of the ideas going forward for the videos. So at the moment, all the videos are available on our new website, seniorsrights.org.au, and there are the discussion guides. So I'm now going to screen share and just show you what I mean by discussion guides. Just jiggle all my screens around and share that one. So the idea is that the videos were sort of made for people who've been diagnosed and their loved ones, whereas these discussion guides are much more for professionals working with them, so that you could show the video and then ask a question. So this is the video that we watched, Why Plan for the Future. So you could get the conversation going by saying, share a specific wish. Do you know if people are aware? What are you concerned about? What may or may not happen? And how can planning ahead offer peace of mind? So it's really just to make sure that people have digested the information. I'll stop sharing that now and help people have a discussion. When we get the translated videos, they're currently just on our YouTube channel in the Hindi, Vietnamese. The Arabic ones are not yet public, but they will be later today. We'll upload them onto our website with some resources in those community languages from Office of Public Advocate. So we're trying to make sure that there's lots of resources on the website, not just for people who are thinking about planning ahead and their loved ones, but also for professionals working with those people to avoid elder abuse. So what I was hoping that we could do next is again, I'm going to do some clumsy screen sharing. I have a list of questions. I think because we've got the webinar format, your responses are going to have to be in the chat or in the Q&A function, but I'm going to screen share. I can show because we're doing pretty well for time, perhaps in the chat function, if anyone wants to see one other video, let me know, and I could share the one about the obligations of an attorney, just so you can see one that presents more of the legal information. Anyone think that's a good idea? All right, well, maybe we'll just move on to the discussion. So I'm going to screen share my discussion points. That one, and make it big. So what we can do post today is share the link on our website where the facilitators guides and the videos are, and also the YouTube link to the translated versions. I'd love it if people are using them, and please provide feedback. With the new videos, I'm actually in discussion with, so Polaran did the translating and dubbing, as I said, and they're really good at making sure that things are culturally relevant and appropriate, not just translating like for like in language. So the new videos are being developed with in discussion with state trustees, Ethnic Communities Council of Victoria, Victoria Law Foundation, the Australian Multicultural Services, and with Polaran. But if any of you have feedback or concerns or particular information that you think it's important for us to share, then please do reach out to me. My email is lbest@seniorsrights.org.au. And for now, if you're all up for it, can you, Jenny, maybe give me a thumbs up if you can see the questions? Cool. So yeah, I wanted, before we talked specifically about the videos, if people would like to share what they think is the most important element to planning ahead and having a secure future. Now I can't see the chat function. Hopefully I can get that. I think I can't see the chat function now because I'm screen sharing, so maybe Jenny can read out any comments that we have through. But I'm also keen to know if you think you would use these videos in your work, understanding that we're all here to help reduce the risk of elder abuse and combat elder abuse when it happens. So do you think that these videos will be relevant? I'd love to get feedback on how you think we could improve the way of presenting the information, of course, acknowledging that these videos were designed without planning for dubbing and translation, and the next suite of videos will be. But is it sort of relatable? The next suite of videos are going to be more focused around the Guardianship and Administration Act and a bit more focused towards people who may be appointed. So they will talk about supported decision making. They will talk about will and preference versus what's in best interests. So there'll be a lot more around navigating what happens next, whereas the videos that we've had made so far are much more about planning while you still can. So yeah, any further information and any other feedback. So Jenny, have we had any comments?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
Just someone asking to get your email address and then they can get back to you. Yeah. And a comment from Catherine at Senior Relationships Services and ACT with Rings, that they absolutely use these as a resource for clients.
Great.
And Katie's put your email address up, which is great. I really like the fact that you had some questions that start off with just thinking it through, because I think that often people find the idea of the legal language powers of attorney and what it means quite intimidating. And so it really is that you're saying about that sort of conversation of thinking through the practical things. And I think it's really great to have some of the suggestions, because, you know, when someone says to me, what would you do to plan? I'm thinking, oh, I don't know, where do I start? What do I, it just becomes a bit amorphous, or, you know, so that's really good. There's another comment here from Susan Cochrane at Relationships Australia National Office, and said, I think the videos are very accessible and less daunting than text. I think they are complementary and they would use them. So that's good.
Great, that's wonderful. Yeah, one of the things that's come up, and we did do some focus groups before we launched the videos, and one of the things that came up was that people, as you said, Jenny, they don't know what to think about, or they think this is entirely about the sorts of things that go into their will. So it's really good making people kind of aware of some of the things to think about, that, you know, you may have quite a long life before anything in your will needs to get enacted, but there are certainly lots of decisions that need to be made on the way. And they're done quite lightheartedly as well. Like the one around having the conversations talks about, you know, that sometimes your family might feel uncomfortable talking about these things. So have a family dinner and all video yourselves on your phone. Or there's a story which is a genuine story that we heard based on a woman who her two adult sons wouldn't talk to her about this stuff. They felt like it was too morbid. So what she did was she created an exercise book with all the information in, but she stuck pictures on the front of cars and said it was her car kit book. And then they opened it and it was her car kit book. But, you know, we've really tried to make it sort of relatable and friendly and not talk too much about the negative impacts of not planning ahead, but more about the positive reasons to plan ahead and how to, and sort of to destigmatize talking about those things.
There's another comment that says the folder was a great visual representation of the complexity of what's involved. And another comment saying great early intervention tool. And I was thinking in terms of suggestions, I really like that idea of a story, and perhaps if it's done in, as you're saying, done in stages, because then I think that gives people an idea about what to think about in some of the things that they want to resolve. So yeah, I like that idea, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think even just thinking about things like things that have sentimental value, or might have sentimental value to one family member and not another, and you know, all those kind of things that people are very rarely going to think about those things when they're under pressure.
Yeah, we've got the just a personal example of my mother died a few years ago, and we haven't got rid of all her stuff. She was a great piano player, and there's the piano there, and we're going, what do we do with the piano? And I wonder what she might have done with the piano. So it's interesting you give that example. Yeah. There's a comment here to say, so important to encourage people to have conversations with loved ones. We at Coded TAS would definitely use the videos as long as they're applicable to our jurisdiction. We're also very aware of the need for resources to educate people appointed as attorneys and guardians. So good to hear you're planning those.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think that's another thing that came up. I did run some information sessions online with Pronia, the organisation that support the Greek-speaking community in Victoria, and one of the kind of lenses that I needed to put the presentation through was to make sure that these discussions are viewed as being from a place of love, so that it's not that you feel like you need to have a conversation with your adult children because you suspect that they might do something wrong, or you suspect that they won't cope, or you're not casting any aspersions on them or their abilities. It's about making sure that things are as least stressful for them as possible going forward. So I think that was a really nice comment that we had before, that it's about supporting people and trying to do things in a calm way at the beginning, the preventative measures, rather than being reactive. It is a challenge, and it is a challenge that some of the feedback that I get when I give the info sessions is they'll say, it's all right, you know, our son's going to do everything, and they haven't actually thought about the details or the fact that he may have skills or knowledge in one area and not in another. So people are often quite pleased when they find out they can appoint more than one attorney, and then we have to temper that with, you know, make sure it's kind of clear about who's doing what, because you could just throw a cat amongst the pigeons in that regard as well. But I think yeah, the challenge is always how to present it in a really positive way. And of course at SRV we get to see the worst case scenario all the time. So when I'm planning these new videos, I'm kind of getting case studies from our casework team and then going, okay, well, how do I present this in a positive way? How could we have avoided this? What's the conversation that should have happened, you know, months or years earlier?
There's another comment here, Lucy, which says, can you talk about how you work, just let me get back in, how you work with more marginalised communities in communicating these issues? Do you use community groups and leaders to disseminate these messages?
Yeah, well, so with Pronia has been the one that I've worked with. I've only been on this project since March, since this funding round. And Pronia have been really good. And I ran a couple of train the trainer sessions, me and one of the SRV lawyers. So we actually worked with their staff who deal with cases and deal with people. And it was also really valuable to get that feedback of were the situations that we were talking about in the videos relevant, and they absolutely were. we haven't had a great deal of resources in languages other than English until now. So now that we've got these 3 videos, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be reaching out to community organizations and groups and trying to identify the leaders so that they can then share the videos as relevant. We can offer information sessions and have translators there too, which is fine. And again, working collaboratively with the idea of these new videos and trying to get some of those voices heard as I form the ideas rather than posthumously once the videos are made.
I like it. And I also imagine that, particularly with the project you've got in mind, that having that cultural influence will change some of the content and some of the ways the discussions are held.
Yeah, I agree. There are different, different things are taboo in different cultures, and different things are talked about more widely in some cultures than others. So definitely for consideration. And it may be with this suite of videos, we've translated the existing videos, but it may be as we plan the next ones, there'll be slightly different videos with the same information but presented slightly differently. One of the ideas that looks like is probably going to happen is having a group discussion and having a diverse group so that people feel like they're represented in that group, even if the dubbing is their community language and it doesn't match all the people, at least they'll feel like there's someone in that group. And that will help give it that human face. And kind of give like anecdotal, well, this is how things work in my family. And yeah, fingers crossed that makes it kind of more accessible and relatable. And it might mean that we can edit out some stories that might not be relevant and in other versions highlight those ones.
Another thing in the chat here says, are you happy for me to use these videos during presentation in Northern Territory? That would be fantastic, as long as they're applicable in accordance to our state jurisdiction. Happy to put reference and give credit. So I think there's a couple of issues around jurisdiction, aren't there?
Yeah, so I think that what I would do is just have your resources that are relevant to your state. And so when you do that discussion guide, make sure that you're giving the right information. It's pretty broad in these videos because we didn't want them to date too quickly. So they're not really specific about state legislation, but it would be worth kind of just doing a cross check when you show them, and you can stop the video before that bit or pause it and explain what it is as relevant to, if I go to Tas, I've said something in Northern Territories, there will be some variation, but we want everyone to use them as much as possible. So yes, absolutely, please do.
Another comment here, lovely idea. You mentioned a group conversation with people from different cultural backgrounds who could offer comments to reflect the different needs and situations, like a role play of a group information session.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly it. Well, it wouldn't even be a role play. I would seek volunteers so that we would facilitate the discussion, so it would be a genuine discussion. And I think to open it up, we do things like talk about what family means to you, and what shared values do you have with different generations within your family and things like that, because then we could overlay some of what's talked about with stock images that kind of show that story that people tell. And again, just trying to find ways to share the really kind of dry legal information in a more engaging way. So I think having some human faces that are sort of contextualizing what would happen if this arose in my family, or how do I think it wouldn't, or how will I have these conversations with my family. But thank you, that's good to hear that you think the group discussion would be good.
And a couple of thanks and thumbs up. We can always show another video if there are not any other questions or comments. I'm not quite sure whether you've got the answers to the questions you put up, Lucy, whether there's something you want to sort of drill down a bit in those questions.
I think the main thing that I was hoping to glean from today was, will these be useful in your work and will you use them? So a few people have said they will, which is wonderful. Because although video is a great way to communicate, not everyone has access to the internet or a computer or knows where to find these things. So it's really going to be down to all of us to make sure that they get in front of people. I'll show one of the other videos. I think I'll show the one obligations of an attorney.
Yeah, I just checked Q&A. There's nothing there. Katie suggested I check the Q&A session. Yeah, show us that one.
Okay. Oh, it says, okay, stop share. Sorry, I was showing, I've got to share this one. Okay.
The obligations of an attorney are clear, but many people don't realise what's involved, and it's important that they understand what their obligations are.
You know, you can be asked to be an attorney out of the blue.
Oh yes, I know.
And my friend Jackie was asked by her neighbour to be an attorney, and the neighbour had not told her own kids and family. So Jackie was in such a dilemma and really feeling anxious that there could be conflict, so she hasn't decided what to do.
But why did the neighbour ask Jackie in the first place?
She's known her for 10 years. Jackie's very caring, she's very diligent, she's very trustworthy.
But you know, she's going to have to be very careful with the financial management, keep really good records, make sure that she keeps her money separate from the neighbour's money. So there's no depositing some of the neighbour's money into her account or anything like that.
That is actually not her issue. She will do that impeccably.
You know, what she should really do is have a talk to the neighbour and suggest the neighbour talk to her family, let them know what her wishes are, and also let them know what Jackie's role is going to be.
If the neighbour loses capacity, Jackie is obligated to make the decisions that the neighbour would make for herself, not what Jackie thinks is best for the neighbour. In determining what decisions the neighbour would make for herself, Jackie could look to the decisions the neighbour has made throughout her life. Whilst the principal, the person making the power of attorney, has some decision-making capacity, the attorney is obligated to involve them in the decision-making process and facilitate the principal in making the decision.
I heard about a really tough situation. Louis was made the financial attorney for his father, who couldn't make those decisions. But the father in the past had been very generous with his grandson, Louis' son, and he used to support him financially from time to time. That grandson's car broke down, he needed money to fix it, and the father thought, look, my dad's always helped my son, I'll just take some money out of the account and give it to him to fix the car. But he actually didn't have permission to do that.
But I thought you said that the father was incapable of making financial decisions and had appointed Louis the power of attorney.
Yes, but it actually has to be written into the power of attorney. When the father was able to make decisions that he wanted to give gifts.
I didn't know that.
An enduring power of attorney is a power that continues beyond the loss of capacity. When you appoint someone to be your attorney, you need to think about things like when you want the power to commence. Is it going to be on signing, or is it going to be after a particular event, say the loss of capacity? You need to think about what sort of power you want to authorise your attorney with. Financial decisions like managing your day-to-day banking, power to sell your property or investments. When you look at personal decisions, the power to decide where you live, your access to services, who can come and visit you. There's many things to consider, but it's important to remember that these powers of attorney can be tailor-made to your circumstances.
You know, the more that we discuss this, the more I realise that everyone should get this sorted out, and sooner rather than later.
I know, and it's just really a matter of being clear and specific and review it from time to time to make sure your wishes are implemented.
When you appoint a power of attorney, it's important not to think of the process as just a ticker box, but to make sure the document caters to your particular circumstances.
I would like to get a job talking with elderly people about their assertiveness, to be more assertive, and also to know their rights.
There we go. I don't know if you could still hear it, but I could still hear the credits rolling. I did want to add, so I do have a degree of discomfort with the white Australian faces talking in Hindi, Arabic, and Vietnamese, but I have actually had some very positive feedback that that a lot of people that speak languages other than English are used to seeing things with dubbing, so it may not be quite as incongruous. And also, you know, Seven Dimensions have done such a great job at matching that, you know, there's a lot of the discomfort is managed in that way. But if anyone has thoughts on the dubbing and how that works, I'm really happy to receive that as well. And I can see the chat now because I'm not screen sharing. I see we've had some good feedback. So we've got someone from Relationships Australia. Yeah, I think that it's the need to plan ahead, and the fact that planning ahead can help avoid elder abuse, but also help avoid family disputes, means that these videos are really relevant to anyone. So that was a really great idea from someone. I can't see you, Lynn, I think. Have I, Jenny, have I missed anything? I don't want to go all the
If
way
you
back.
go on, there's another one from Jenny. It's not from me. Another Jenny must be. About if the attorney makes a decision that isn't one that the elderly person would ever have made, what monitoring is there or checks? What can concerned parties do?
So people can take it to VCAT. People can dispute the actions taken by the person who is appointed. If so, the appointment can be revoked, and VCAT can appoint someone, or family can step up. I feel like when I do this, because I'm not a lawyer, I do the presentations with a lawyer who answers all the legal questions. Jenny, you probably have more insight into answering this question than I do.
I don't know that I do, because I'm not a lawyer either. But yes, if someone's really unhappy, then they can take it to VCAT. But sometimes, you know, it's hard. It's one of those, like another one of those difficult conversations about perhaps talking to the person about the decision that they've made, and perhaps explaining that in fact their legal responsibility, as you mentioned previously, it was mentioned in the video, is their legal responsibility is to make the decision according to the wishes of the person. I mean, not what I think is the best decision, but what the person needs to make. And that's actually now a legal responsibility in Victoria. So whether there's some discussion around how you might be consistent with that.
Yeah, which is why having documents in place does help protect, because it's very clear what the wishes are, instead of people saying, well, I think that so-and-so would have wanted this. Lots of options to, yeah, thank you for that, Catherine.
I was thinking, again, going back to the different stories you can have. There are stories for people who are on low income about how they manage things, and then people who, you know, have assets like a house or whatever. But people, it's how important it is for some people who are on low income, but how, you know, the risks for them as well in terms of managing things according to the way that they want and their finances. So I'm thinking about people might think these things apply to only people, particularly financial ones, when there's people who've got big amounts of money, but it can be significant just for the person who hasn't got a lot of money about what happens to their money and how it might be abused or used.
Yeah, and especially those personal decisions, if people are sort of already disempowering themselves if they say, well, I don't have any assets, so I'm not going to bother putting things in place to plan ahead, because actually some of those things can be around personal decisions that can be really important to you, and then you lose your capacity to make the decisions and could end up in an aged care facility that, you know, doesn't suit your values or the things that bring you joy, even if you don't know what they are. You know, that we do have quite a bit of discussion around things like that, around I'd like to be somewhere where there's a garden or a pet, or where they serve wine with dinner, or, you know, there's all those things that people you may actually be able to have a say in those things, and you may not have thought about them if you just exclude yourself from the discussion.
Okay, well, we've got a lot of people who are saying their videos are good, and questions about jurisdiction and some other particular questions.
Excellent. I'm going to share in the chat the where the discussion guides are, because they're not quite so easy to find. Excuse my cat shouting at me in the background. And then this is the link to the videos. And I think I'll put our YouTube on there as well. the joys of working from home.
It makes it more human.
More feline. So then this is our YouTube, and yeah, I think Katie already put my email address in, but I'll put that in as well if anyone wants to get in touch. And I can, if you want me to, I can set up somewhere where you could download the videos, like from Dropbox or something, because you know, I've streamed them today from my computer rather than from our website, to just try and alleviate some of the delays or you know, issues of streaming. My cat is just rubbing herself on the computer screen.
Well, you'd have to have a discussion about what happens to your cat, won't you?
That's
what
right.
life your cat wants when you, if you weren't there.
She must have a laptop.
Yes, she must be buttons on. All right, well, unless there's any other questions, I'll wind this up. But it's been a great presentation. Thank you very much, Lucy. And I really think that's a great project. And my history is that I used to work at Seniors Rights Victoria, so I'm so pleased to see it progressing, and particularly with other languages. It's great to see that happening.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have actually got some ongoing funding as well beyond October, so which is good news.
It's terrific. I'd like to thank you, Lucy, and thank Katie for organising this, and thank you, the audience, and all your participants for taking part. It's really great to hear your interest and for you to get to know what else is being produced around Australia in different places. And we're always willing to try and showcase other things that might be useful more broadly. So please give further feedback. If you think of something later on and, oh, why didn't I ask that question, or maybe Lucy would really like, you know, this might help Lucy with what she's doing, please send them through.
Thank you.
Just a reminder of the National Elder Abuse Conference coming up in February. You can register and be online if you don't want to travel or can't travel. You might want to travel but can't. It will be a great conference, and you'll be able to register or look that up online. And also a reminder of Compass. Please feel free to use Compass and let us know of anything that you'd like to add to that. And become a member of EAAA. That would be really great as well, to have people as members and supporting what we're doing, and that we can talk to about what we should be doing as EAAA. There will be another one. We haven't got that set up, but we'll certainly let you know when the next lunch and learn occurs. So thank you very much, and we'll sign off from here and see you next time around.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone.
Stay well. Stay safe.